12 cleaning habits have changed my health, my spirit, and my everyday life. If you've ever felt your home suffocating under too much stuff, or felt exhausted because there's no room left to breathe, then this video is for you. You will hear about simple but powerful tips, from asking the straightforward question, "Am I using this item?" to the one in, one out rule, and even how to make sure everything in your home always has a place to return. And I promise, if you stay until the end, you will get the 13th habit, a little-known secret that can completely transform the way you see your home and your life. If you're interested in decluttering, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Senior Life Reset if you find this content helpful. Your support is the motivation for me to continue sharing more so meaningful things. Thank you for being here. Today, let's hear the story of Mary, an American woman in her 70s who once lived in a house so full of stuff there was no room to breathe. But with just small habits, she turned her home into a place of peace. Mary said that at first she didn't believe small habits could change anything. For years, she kept everything, from her late husband's shirt to her granddaughter's old toys. Every time she opened the closet, she felt both nostalgic and exhausted, because everything was piled up like a mountain. But step by step, she began applying the first habit. Habit 1. Ask, "Am I using this item?" On her first day cleaning the kitchen, Mary opened the cabinets and found a pile of old pots and pans, plastic containers with missing lids, and even a juicer that had been covered in dust for 8 years. At first, she hesitated, telling herself maybe she would need it someday. But then she stopped and asked, "Am I using this right now?" The answer was no, so she put it in the donation box without regret. This short question helped Mary break free from the habit of keeping things just in case. She applied it all over the house, from clothes she hadn't worn in years to expired bottles in the bathroom. Each time she let go of an item, she felt lighter. She said, "I realized I wasn't just throwing away an object, I was letting go of the heaviness that had been around me for so long." That's the power of the first habit. Simple, but enough to open an entire journey of change. Habit 2. Limit with a box or container. Mary shared that she once had an attic full of Christmas boxes, decorations, tablecloths, and things she never touched. The problem was, the more space she had, the more she kept. When she began to change, she set a clear limit. She chose the 2 transparent plastic bins for Christmas decorations and told herself, "When these 2 bins are full, nothing more can be added." If she wanted to keep something new, she had to remove something else. The rule seemed strict, but it made her feel relieved, because for the first time she had a clear standard for keeping things. Mary extended this rule to clothes and linens. She kept only the amount she used, no more, no less. From having nearly 20 towels, she now only had 4, clean and convenient. Limiting with boxes or containers made decisions easier, so she didn't have to argue with herself every time she was unsure. And she realized her home felt much more spacious, all thanks to one simple principle. Habit 3. Tidy up as you walk by. Mary said that in the past, she often waited until things got overwhelmingly messy before cleaning, and each time it drained her, taking a whole day to finish. But once she applied this habit, she only needed a few minutes each day. When walking past her closet, if she saw a dress she hadn't worn in years, she took it down and put it in the donation box. When cleaning the kitchen, if she found a chipped cup, she tossed it instead of putting it back on the shelf. This small habit created a big change because she no longer had to wait for a special cleaning day. Tidying up became a natural part of life, light and pressure-free. Mary even placed a small basket near the door. Whenever she spotted something she no longer needed, she dropped it in. Every week, when her daughter visited, she asked her to bring that basket to the donation center. Thanks to tidying up as she walked by, her home always stayed neat, never falling into clutter again. Habit 4. Be honest about just-in-case items. Mary admitted that for years she held on to things, thinking she might need them someday. One day, she opened the closet in her office and found yarn, crochet hooks, and fabric she once planned to use for crafts. But 10 years had passed, and she hadn't touched them. They only took up space and weighed on her. The trick Mary used was to ask herself 2 simple questions. Am I going to use this in the next few months? And am I still as excited about it as when I first bought it? If both answers were no, she let it go immediately. Mary only kept a few needles and some thread as a small memory while donating all the yarn and fabric to a local charity group. She said that decision made her feel like a heavy weight was lifted off her shoulders. Being honest about just-in-case items helped her realize that the present mattered more than vague plans for the future. Habit 5. Revisit the same area regularly. Mary recalled that the first time she cleaned her garage, it took her an entire afternoon, and she thought it would stay neat forever. But only 6 months later, boxes, plastic bags, and things her kids left behind had piled up again. Instead of feeling discouraged, she learned that decluttering isn't a one-time job. It needs to be repeated as a habit. She set a schedule. Every 6 months, she revisited the garage. Every 3 months, she checked the closet. And every month, she reviewed the papers in her drawer. By doing this, new items never had a chance to become a mountain, and she never felt overwhelmed when cleaning again. Mary said revisiting the same area helped her feel calmer. Habit 6. Declutter with seasons and transitions. Mary said that in the past, every time the weather changed, she would bring out new things to use without ever putting away or discarding the old ones. As a result, her closet became more and more crowded, with many worn-out or outdated items that she never touched. When she began applying this habit each time a new season came, she reminded herself to review all her clothes, shoes, and even home decorations. If something hadn't been used in the previous season or no longer made her feel comfortable, she was ready to let it go. She did the same during big transitions, such as after renovating the kitchen or rearranging the living room. These were the moments when it was easiest to see which things were truly needed and which were only taking up space. Mary said decluttering with the seasons helped her home feel fresh, never weighed down by old items. More importantly, she felt she was living more in tune with the present, no longer clinging to things from the past. Habit 7. Deal with new items right away. Mary said that in the past, whenever she came back from the market, she often left the grocery bags on the kitchen table, receipts stuffed into a drawer, and letters piled up on the shelf. After a few weeks, papers, plastic bags, and empty boxes became a huge mess that discouraged her. Since applying this habit, anything brought into the house was handled within minutes. Mail was opened and sorted, Receipts that needed to be kept were clipped neatly, while ads went straight to the recycling bin. Dry goods were stored in the pantry, fresh food was put into the fridge, and plastic bags were folded into a small box with a set limit. Mary said this kept her kitchen always tidy, no more drowning in paper and bags. She also applied this habit to items her grandchildren brought over, like gifts or old magazines. If she needed to keep them, she immediately found a fixed spot. If not, she gave them away within the week. By dealing with things right at the door, she blocked clutter from ever piling up again. Habit 8. Give every item a home. Mary said one reason her house was always messy was that many items had no fixed place. Coats sometimes hung on chairs, on doors, or sometimes on the bed. Mail was in the kitchen one day, lost in the closet another. Later, she learned to give each item its own home. Coats always hung on the hook by the front door. Mail went in a neat box on the side table, and keys stayed in a wooden tray by the window. Once everything had a home, it became easier to find, and when finished, she simply put it back. Interestingly, this habit also helped Mary notice which items were unnecessary. If something never seemed to have a proper place, always floating from corner to corner, it was a sign it didn't belong. Giving each item a home not only made her house tidy, but also reduced her stress, since she always knew exactly where her things were. Habit 9. The one in, one out rule. Mary recalled that in the past, she often bought more clothes, bedding, or kitchenware without removing the old ones, and her closets ended up crammed full, drawers unable to close. Since applying this rule, everything changed. Whenever something new came in, a similar item had to go. If she bought a new coat, she immediately chose an old one to donate. If she received a new mug as a gift, she picked out an old, chipped, or unused one to discard. This rule kept the number of items in Mary's home steady, never increasing over time. At first, it was hard because of attachment, but gradually she felt relieved since everything left behind was truly necessary. Mary shared that the one in, one out rule taught her how to live selectively, avoiding excess and keeping her home open and comfortable. Habit 10. Always keep a giveaway bin. Mary placed a plastic bin right by the garage door, which she called her giveaway bin. Whenever she came across something she no longer used, instead of leaving it lying around, she dropped it straight into the bin. This made decisions easier, since the bin served as a temporary holding place for all items that needed to leave. When the bin was full, she asked her daughter to take it to the nearby donation center, or she called a charity to pick it up. Mary said the giveaway bin completely changed her perspective on decluttering because it created a clear rhythm. Put it in the bin, then let it leave the house when the time came. She no longer felt stuck, unsure where to put things, or worried that unwanted items would pile up again. Even better, every time she saw the bin fill up, she felt proud that she was doing good, not just for herself, but for others who would receive those items. Habit 11. Communicate and agree with family. Mary remembered that in the past she often decided everything in the house by herself, even her children's or grandchildren's belongings. Once, she gathered a bag of her granddaughter's old toys to donate, but when the little girl found out, she cried loudly. From then on, Mary changed. Instead of deciding alone, she began talking with family members, When her daughter visited, they sat together, opened each drawer and asked, "Do we need this? Do we want to keep it?" With her granddaughter, Mary let her pick which toys she wanted, and the rest went away. Mary said this habit not only made the house tidier, but also avoided misunderstandings and unnecessary hurt. Most importantly, it made everyone feel respected and heard. She shared that this agreement turned decluttering into a bonding activity instead of a source of conflict. Habit 12. Remove hidden to-dos. Mary said that her home had many items that reminded her of unfinished projects. An old dress she planned to cut and sew, a basket of fabric she thought she would turn into a quilt, or a stack of prints she wanted to frame and hang. But year after year, they only sat there, making her feel guilty. Later, she learned to face the truth. If for months she hadn't found the time or energy, she probably never would. So she began letting go of those hidden to-do items. The old dress went into the donation bin, the basket of fabric went to the church sewing group, and the stack of prints went to her niece studying art. Letting go freed her from the burden of unfinished tasks. She said, "I didn't fail by not completing them. I chose freedom." Removing hidden to-dos lightened her mind, and her home became brighter and more breathable. Habit 13. The bonus secret. Declutter from the source to stop incoming. Mary realized that if she only focused on removing things, the house would eventually fill up again, because new stuff kept coming in. The secret was controlling from the start. Whenever someone gave her a gift, she politely thanked them, but gracefully declined if she knew she didn't need it. At the supermarket, she asked herself 3 times before putting anything in the cart. Do I have space for this? Do I need it? Am I willing to let go of something else to make room? If the answer was no, she didn't buy it. This way, unnecessary things never had a chance to enter her home. Mary shared that this was the biggest change because it kept her from having to start over again, and instead kept her house tidy right from the root. She smiled and said, "I'm not just decluttering my house. I'm decluttering the habit of bringing more burdens into my life." This was the secret gift Mary wanted to share with anyone seeking peace in their own home. Mary said decluttering was never about making the house perfect, but about creating a space that was easier to live in and breathe in. After applying the 12 habits plus the secret 13th, she felt not only was her house tidier, but her mind was lighter and more at ease. She realized the important thing wasn't keeping everything, but choosing so that the house reflected who she was now. For Mary, that meant safety, freedom, and memories worth holding on to. If you feel your home is cramped and suffocating, start with one drawer, one box, or just one item. Each step may be simple, but it will lead you toward a lighter life. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Senior Life Reset. Your support is my motivation to continue sharing more meaningful things. See you in the next videos.